Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we'll be looking into the book My Dear Hamilton by Stephanie Dray. It's one of those historical fiction novels, but get this, it's narrated by Eliza Schuyler Hamilton herself.
Wow, that's an interesting take.
Yeah, it gives a totally fresh perspective on, a pretty well-known guy, Alexander Hamilton. I mean, we always hear about his political achievements.
Right.
But this time, we get to see him through the eyes of the woman who knew him best.
Yeah, makes you wonder what she really thought of him, right?
Totally. And plus, the book takes us on a journey through war, political intrigue, love, betrayal, all against the backdrop of America's founding. It's a pretty wild ride.
I bet. And to think it all starts with Eliza's childhood on a plantation in Albany.
Oh, yeah. Her upbringing was anything but typical for, an 18th century young woman.
Right. Imagine being exposed to, Dutch English and even Mohawk cultures, all while trying to navigate those rigid social expectations. It's got to be tough.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the book really emphasizes that Eliza's intelligence and wit, those traits that often get overlooked in history books.
Oh, absolutely. And, even her family's encounter with General Burgoyne after the Battle of Saratoga, it kind of hints at her early exposure to war and diplomacy.
Right. From a young age, she was surrounded by history in the making.
Yeah, and not just as a bystander either. It really sets the stage for her whirlwind romance with Hamilton.
Oh, man. Their meeting at the military encampment, the passionate courtship, and then eloping despite probably facing some serious disapproval. It's all there.
It adds this whole other layer of drama on top of the historical narrative. It's amazing.
But it's not just a love story, though, right? We get to see their early married life with all the challenges of a new nation finding its feet.
Totally.
Eliza working alongside Martha Washington, helping Hamilton with his political goals and raising a family in a cramped boarding house. It's pretty relatable in a way.
Yeah, it humanizes these historical figures. It reminds us they had everyday struggles just like us.
And don't forget, this is when America's government was being built. Hamilton is the first Secretary of the Treasury.
Yeah, a pivotal role.
For sure. And the book really doesn't shy away from the weight of his responsibilities and the sacrifices both he and Eliza had to make.
It makes you think about the impact it had on their relationship. The long hours, the political maneuvering, the constant pressure.
And then there's the scandal.
Oh, yeah, the Maria Reynolds affair. It must have been devastating.
Absolutely. The book captures all the raw emotion of that moment. Eliza's hurt, her anger, but also you see her incredible strength.
It's interesting how the author portrays both sides of Hamilton, the great love and the huge flaws.
It's true. I think that's where this book really stands out. It goes beyond just the historical events and digs into the human cost. What was it like for Eliza to deal with such a public betrayal?
Right. Did it change how she saw her husband or even herself?
Yeah. The book delves into all of that with such depth.
And it makes us confront our own opinions, too. Do we judge Eliza for staying with him?
Or do we admire her resilience? It's not a simple answer. The book really challenges us to think about the complexities.
And then, of course, there's the whole political backdrop.
Oh, man, the tension between Hamilton, Madison, and Jefferson. It's like a political thriller unfolding right before your eyes.
It's easy to forget that the birth of America wasn't exactly smooth sailing. It was messy and dangerous.
And Eliza and her children were right in the middle of it.
Imagine having to flee your home because of mob violence. Talk about resilience.
I know. And throughout the book, you see her political awareness grow. She becomes more than just Hamilton's wife.
She's observing everything, offering her opinions. It makes you wonder how much influence she really had.
It definitely paints her as more than just a footnote in history. This was a woman of intelligence and incredible strength.
And that strength would be tested again and again.
That's for sure.
The book doesn't hold back on the tragedies Eliza went through. I mean, losing her son Philip in a duel.
That's got to be one of the hardest things a parent can go through.
Absolutely. And then losing her sister Angelica.
It's like one blow after another.
And then, of course, Hamilton's own duel with Burr. It's heartbreaking.
It's hard to imagine going through all of that. But what's amazing is that she doesn't just give up.
Right. She picks herself up and channels that grief into action.
It's inspiring. She dedicates herself to preserving Hamilton's legacy, making sure he gets the recognition he deserves for helping build the nation.
It's like a whole new chapter opens up for her. She's fighting political rivals, collecting his papers, even going up against people who try to downplay his role.
It shows how determined she was. She wasn't going to let anyone else define his story.
And it's a reminder that she was a woman in a time when that kind of agency was rare.
So true. And, she didn't stop there. She founded the Orphan Asylum Society, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She had a huge heart. and really wanted to make a difference.
It's incredible to think that she used her pain to help others. It really makes you wonder how things would have turned out if she hadn't forgiven Hamilton.
It's a fascinating question. Would she have been as devoted to preserving his legacy if things had ended differently between them?
It makes you think about the complexities of their relationship. And then there's Angelica.
Ah, yes, the other Schuyler sister.
The book definitely hints at a deeper connection between them. It's not just your typical sisterly bond.
You can sense it in their letters, that witty banter, the intellectual back and forth. There's an undercurrent of something more there.
For sure. And you have to remember, this was a time when women were expected to be, demure and subservient.
Exactly. But Eliza and Angelica are portrayed as intelligent and strong-willed. They challenge those norms.
Their relationship with Hamilton just adds another layer of intrigue to the whole story.
It's like the author is saying, hey, these weren't just historical figures. They were real people with real emotions and messy relationships.
I like that. It makes them more relatable somehow. And it really makes you question what really went on between them.
Right. Was there something more to Hamilton and Angelica's bond? Was it purely platonic?
Or did they cross a line? The book keeps you guessing. And then there's that scene where Eliza discovers a bunch of personal letters between Hamilton and Angelica.
Oh, wow. Talk about a bombshell.
It totally changes your perception of their whole relationship.
It makes you reevaluate everything. What did Eliza really feel in that moment?
Did it affect how she saw both her husband and her sister? The book doesn't give you easy answers.
It puts you right in Eliza's shoes and forces you to confront those tough emotions.
It's such a clever way to add suspense and draw you deeper into the story.
And it reminds us that history is often told from a single perspective.
Right. What we read in textbooks might just be one side of the story.
Exactly. My Dear Hamilton encourages us to dig deeper and look for those untold stories, the perspectives that often get left out.
And that's what makes Eliza's story so captivating. She wasn't just watching history unfold. She was right there in the thick of it, shaping the narrative, fighting for what she believed in.
She left her own mark on the world. And her story is one that continues to resonate with us today.
It's a story of resilience, the complexities of love and relationships, and the enduring power of one woman who refused to be defined by her circumstances.
She truly defied expectations. It makes you realize how much we might be missing out on, just because some voices were never given a chance.
Exactly. Eliza's story could have easily been forgotten, but thankfully she made sure that didn't happen.
That's why this book is so important. It shines a light on a perspective we don't often hear. And it reminds us that history isn't just about the big events,
It's about the real people who lived through them.
Right, the choices they made and the impact they had.
Eliza's legacy is pretty remarkable when you think about it. She was at the heart of so many changes in America.
From the very beginning of the nation to founding organizations that are still around today.
And through it all, she never lost that human touch. She loved, she lost, she grieved, she forgave.
The book really captures those complexities. It shows us a woman who is strong, but also vulnerable, determined, but also compassionate.
It reminds us that even these historical figures we put on a pedestal were just people dealing with the same emotions and challenges we face today.
That's the power of historical fiction. It helps us connect with them on a personal level.
Not just as names in a textbook, but as people who lived and breathed just like us.
Right. And My Dear Hamilton does an amazing job of bringing Eliza to life. You really feel her joy, her heartbreak, her anger.
Yeah, you really get pulled into her story.
It's one of those books that stays with you long after you finish it. It makes you think and question things.
A good book should do that, right?
Absolutely. So why should our listeners care about Eliza Schuyler Hamilton?
That's a good question.
Well, her story makes us rethink what we think we know about the past. It reminds us that history is made by everyday people, too.
People who faced incredible challenges and still found a way to make a difference.
It also makes us wonder about all the other voices that haven't been heard. What other stories are out there waiting to be discovered?
My Dear Hamilton is a great starting point for exploring those questions.
If you're looking for a book that will transport you to another time and challenge your perspectives, I highly recommend checking it out.
You can find a link to buy the book in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more.
We'll be back with another fascinating story soon. Until then, keep those minds curious.